Today on Steve Rob Reviews, we're going to talk about engine oil. And this video is not going to be like most videos you've ever seen on YouTube. I am not a YouTube certified expert on motor oils. But today I'm going to discuss a little bit of a conversation I had at my retailer when I went to buy this oil. I bought a case, I got 12 of these, and this is a new oil to me and a new, well, I'll show you here on the back. If you take a look at the certification on that, I'm not too sure if the glare is going to be too much, but you could see that that is a CK4. This is a 1540 grade oil, multi-grade oil for my Kubota tractor. And if I made a video and said, you should use this for your Kubota tractor, people would go bananas and say that's the wrong oil. Some people say it's the right oil. So how do you know which oil is right and which oil is not right? This is where I stop the conversation a little bit here and I just demonstrate for you. Here I was standing in front of the aisle where all the oil was, and if you take a look there closely, you see all the writing on there? That's a lot of writing. So I start reading this, and first thing I come across is part synthetic. And I'm reading it along, talking about all the different advantages of this oil and how good this castor oil, well, Vecton, I think it's called Vecton. You know, System Pro technology, maximum drain intervals. Man, this thing does everything. So I'm reading along like this, and this fella stands up beside me there. He grabs one of these and he starts reading it. And I says, buddy, you got a clue what this is all about? He goes, actually, I do. And I thought, oh my God, here we go, right? How many times have you run into somebody at a store and of course they're an expert. Not a YouTube certified expert, but they are an expert, right? And so I just thought I'd play along a little bit here. And this is do you know what's in this oil? He goes, no, not a clue. I said, well, I haven't got a clue either. So I says, how do you know what's in this oil? He goes, well, he was a salesperson. You know, like one of these people that goes around and sells industrial fluids to like big stores, large fleet sales, and he has to know his stuff when it comes to selling oil, I guess. So he was telling me a little bit about, yeah, he used to work for an oil company. He's retired now. And he goes, the only thing I can tell you about what's in this is what's on here and what's on here. And the only thing that you need to know is the grade, the classification, CK4, and you need some background knowledge about whether it's even right to use in your engine. So he asked me what I'm going to put it in. I told him my Kubota diesel engine. And he goes, well, the first thing I would tell you is call up your dealer and ask him. And I said, I'm very surprised if he tells you if you can use it or not. I bet you he says no, because he doesn't know anything about this oil. That is, he's kind of playing dumb with me here, right? Saying, does Kubota sell this oil? And I go, no, I doubt they sell this oil at their Kubota shops. They sell Kubota oil. He says, well, the first thing I would do is ask Kubota, do you sell synthetic motor oil or part synthetic motor oil for your tractors? That'd be the first thing, because some synthetic oils you should never use in a tractor. And you know, I have heard that before. I have a buddy of mine that works at a Massey Ferguson dealership, and he said that they had so many problems in certain years for certain engines using synthetic oil where the deposits would end up on the end of the injector, and they just said, look, don't use any more synthetic oil. So I picked this up and I had a really good, frank discussion with this fella, and I thought, you know what, this guy's the real deal. He's been around the block a bit, and he has to know when somebody phones up and asks a question about oils. And I said, well, what is your purpose kind of thing in your job? He goes, well, from a retailer to fleet sales, you know, big highway tractors to, you know, regular automotive shops, When they want an oil besides what's recommended by the manufacturer, they really don't know. It's a knowledge-based industry. So you have to look at this here bottle of oil, and you have to trust what they're saying on here. Besides that, you haven't got a clue, do you? I says, no. Does anybody walk into this place here, pick up an oil, and know what exactly is inside? He goes, no. Well, it's all information, advertisement, and to get you to buy one oil over another. So why are you buying this oil? I said, well, it's 50% off. And I thought, if it works right, I could use it. And he goes, that's the reason why, right? So of course it's advertising and price point and all kinds of different things. So I thought I'd say, okay, so I'm going to start to pick this guy's brain a bit. I said, okay. Now, of course, he didn't see these two things. I'm in a store, right? So I said, what do you think about synthetic oil? Is it better than conventional? Here's Castrol Edge, and here's just a conventional oil, right? So I asked him, is it better than the conventional? He goes, I can't tell you that. He said, nobody can tell you that. He says, if the manufacturer says you have to use synthetic oil, they're going to tell you which oil to use, and you have to use it. If it doesn't tell you you have to use synthetic oil, then you don't have to use synthetic oil. I said, yeah, but if you use synthetic oil, is your engine going to last longer, perform better, and all the other stuff that they say about synthetic oil? He says, absolutely not. He said, so many people are buying synthetic oil and destroying their engines because what they're doing is they're running their engines way too long. They're contaminating the oil with, I guess it's just built up byproducts from combustion. And, it depends on how you use your vehicle. People are making a lot of short trips back and forth, compared to somebody running out on the highway. These are all the different variables you have to take into account. But he says, if you take a look at some of these synthetic oils, yeah, they're going to tell you you can go way out there on mileage under ideal conditions. Now, are you running under ideal conditions? These are the things you have to think about. Is it extreme duty or is it light duty? There's all kinds of variables. So then I start to say, is this kind of stuff, and I mentioned this Castrol, is it synthetic oil? He goes, absolutely not. And I'm going, yeah, but it says right on it. If you take a look at this, it says right on it, 100% synthetic oil. He goes, well, yeah, they can claim it's 100% synthetic oil, but it's still the base oil stocks that they've been using. They put an additive package in there, they refine it a certain way, and there's a big lawsuit that went on years ago saying, could they use the name synthetic? Well, they won, and they used the name synthetic. So I said, is it the same as the ones that are really synthetic? He goes, well, the ones that you're saying that are really synthetic, you have to really know if they're really synthetic. And I'm going, oh my God, how does anybody even buy a bottle of oil, right? So he goes, yeah, there is some synthetic oils out there that are not, base stocks pulled out of the ground. They're engineered differently. And oils are engineered. And they're reverse engineered. So he went on to tell me about the whole way that the system works. In the engineers design an engine with a specific oil in mind. A specific oil additive package. Just like when you see here, when it says Dexos, that has nothing to do with the oil itself. It's the additive package. And this is a licensing agreement so that this particular company is authorized to say it's okay to put in General Motors vehicles. Dexos is just a classification of additive package in the way that the oil is structured to work in General Motors vehicles. Some General Motors vehicles. So when I was carrying on with the conversation with this fella, and I says, look, I says, in your job, do you think people know when they walk into a retail store like this what oils to buy? He goes, absolutely not. He said, most people, the only thing they look at is, well, they look at the cap. Take a look at the cap on their engine, and many times it'll say 5W20, 10W30, no matter what it is, right? Or at most, they may just look for this. SAE 5W30, right? And this one here says for gasoline engines. And on the back, they'll take a look at the EPA service rating, and this one here is SN. Besides the 10W30, he says, majority of the customers out there have no idea what's going on with this jug of oil. And so I says, okay. Now in my experience, I ran into vehicles where people have gone to a fast lube. They put the wrong oil in, they show up at my place, and they actually get drivability problems and a check engine light. And I said, well, if they put the wrong oil in, yeah, these conditions can apply. But what about the times when it doesn't cause a drivability problem and the vehicle just drives like normal, there's no check engine lights on or anything? I says, can people put the wrong oil in, not know it, and never know the difference? Absolutely. So, you know, and then I'm starting to think, okay, so how many people are going around with the wrong engine oil in their vehicles? No matter what it is, what kind of vehicle out there, anything that's got a gasoline engine on it, I wonder how many people are putting in the wrong oil. And how many people can actually say that by using one oil over another oil, that it was either detrimental or wasn't. And I says, you know, like, unless you have a controlled setting, us as individuals walk into a store and pick up a jug of oil. Well, you put it in your car, you throw these bottles, you know, in the recycling bin, off you go. And if something does happen to your engine, mechanically wise, because, you know, a lot of engine oils today are not just to lubricate your engine, it's to cool your engine, it's to operate all kinds of mechanisms, you know, for cam timing. You know, it does a lot more, you know, provides cooling. It does a lot more than just lubricate your engine. And it has to comply with all the internal components of an engine. And for many, yeah, they're just putting in the wrong oil. They drive on every day. They carry on. They do their own thing. So I asked him, I says, when you go around to all these different places and you're telling people, you know, like large corporations and businesses and fleet sales, and you're telling them which oils they should be using and they shouldn't be using, do they actually know the difference between you telling them something and them be able to figure it out for themselves? And he goes, well, it's all about information and it's all about experiences with different fluids. And yeah, there is times where, you know, the manufacturer just doesn't get it right, where, you know, an oil comes out and it's just not compatible. But the average homeowner picking up a jug of oil, they wouldn't know the difference. But he said in big, huge fleet sales, yeah, when they start noticing, you know, mechanical failures, and they can tie it back to the oil, well, that's one thing for them. But he said, if you put a jug of this, anything in your vehicle, and try to say, oh, well, you know, this oil company here wrecked my engine, because you're on your own, bud, because, you know, unless you can show the receipts from a particular, you know, retailer that actually did the oil changes for you, and you can show that it was the wrong oil. I mean, are they going to put, they're going to put on their ticket here that they put this stuff in your, you know, regular conventional oil in your vehicle, and it was supposed to be synthetic? Well, they'd be liable, right? So, but generally, when you're just a regular homeowner, do-it-yourselfer, and you're going into the store and you're picking up some oil, well, it's not so easy, is it? And you know, when you can watch YouTube videos and you'll see a lot of YouTube certified experts on YouTube saying what oil you should use and what oil you shouldn't use, and you should use this because of that. Well, all they're doing is just like me, reading the back of this bottle and just conveying their opinions, or reading a data sheet from you can go on this website and read a whole bunch of data sheets on all kinds of stuff, and you know, whether the average consumer can understand what goes into a bottle of oil, I doubt it. So it's mostly just trust. And I had to ask the fella, I says, what oil do you like, right? So, of course, I'm going to tell you. Now, this fella likes AMSOIL, right? Now, he did not work for AMSOIL, but he likes AMSOIL. And just personal preference. And, you know, like, I'm not here to, you know, push one oil over another, because I use these ones, right? And I don't use AMSOIL, you know, or a Royal Purple, or there's other, you know, like high dollar brand oils out there. And some are good, you know, some are better, some are best. But for me, in my experience in my life, I've used a variety of different oils. And I can't say that I'm 100% confident that I know what I'm doing. Because it's so difficult to figure out what oil to use at all times, especially when you take a look at this one here with the new classification and this CK4. And they like to say that when they bring out a new classification, it also includes all the old ones. But that's not always true. Because if you go back far enough, you can find out that, yeah, you can't even use this in your engine without another additive package that's missing from this. You know, and the fella I was talking to says today they're engineering a lot of these diesel engine oils. I'll use this one for example. He said they're engineering them for their emission systems. They're, you know, the ones that use DEF fluid. They're engineering them for that, and they're engineering them for different types of propulsion systems. You know, they have some big fleet trucks, they don't all run on diesel. Some run on propane, natural gas. So, I mean, you have to really know what you're doing. And I'll be honest with you, I can't tell anybody on YouTube that I know anything about what goes on with this bottle of oil, except I do my best to try and figure out the weight of the oil, the grade of the oil, the classification, the certifications, the starburst, you know, try to be as informed as possible. But I wonder how many of you feel confident about going on YouTube and telling people which oil is better than another oil. Because this fella that was retired from the industry itself says it's really come down to advertisement, comes down to trust, and it comes down to, do you trust the brand? And you know, I think I agree with them. Do you trust the brand? And I think I'll just leave it there for now. And you guys leave me a comment below whether you feel that you'd be able to make a YouTube video and tell somebody one oil's good, one oil's bad, you know, this kind of stuff with confidence and be able to prove it. Because the fella I talked to said, you know what, a lot of people throw their oil in their engine. If something happens, they're on their own most of the time. So thanks for joining me here today. If you haven't seen this channel before, you're welcome to subscribe, come back again, and let's have some more fun.